down, I'll give you his name now, Jugurtha, Jugurtha. Jugurtha. 118 BC. King of Numidia, a friend of Rome, an ally of Rome. He dies, and his three sons, one of them is Jugurtha. He's the strongest of the three. His three sons battle one another, kill one another for control of the kingdom. And kind of an interesting story. What had happened? When the king was on his deathbed, he brought his three sons in. Jugurtha and Adherbal and Hiempsal. He's got these three sons. He brings them in, and they're all standing around him. And he says he's going to leave his kingdom to all three. Not his eldest son, but all three. But he warns them, these guys have to cooperate with one another in ruling, or else what's going to happen? The kingdom will fall. And Jugurtha's standing there. Jugurtha, by the way, he's the adopted son. The other two are biological. In any case, Jugurtha's standing there and says, yes, Father, I agree. We will work together, right? Adherbal and Hiempsal, we're going to work together. We're going to make this thing work. And as soon as Dad dies, what does Jugurtha do? He attacks, kills both of his brothers, and takes sole command of Numidia. The problem is, in the process of killing his brothers, he kills a bunch of Romans. See, remember, since the Second Punic War, Numidia had been allied to Rome. And Numidia is an important commercial center in the Mediterranean. It's got a lot of cities up here on the coast. And a lot of Roman merchants were living down here in these Numidian cities. When the process of killing his brothers, there's some merchants standing around, Roman merchants, he kills them all. And the slaughter of those Roman merchants, what opportunity does it provide for the Romans? An excuse, justification to move in, destroy Jugurtha, because they see this guy as a threat. They see how ambitious he is and how good he is as a military leader. And the politicians back in Rome, they're telling their people, we must make war on Numidia. We've got to punish the Numidians, or Jugurtha in particular, not so much the Numidians, but Jugurtha in particular, for what he did to our people. And not only that, the politicians back in Rome say, you think Hannibal was a threat to Rome? This guy is 10 times Hannibal. He wasn't 10 times Hannibal. But they're going to tell the people that to get them to do what? To support war against Numidia. And it works. 111 BC, the Romans will, in response to retaliation for the slaughter of those Roman merchants, 111 BC, they will declare war on Jugurtha. And one after another, Roman generals will be sent in to deal with this guy. And one after another, they will be defeated. 111, 110, 109, you get the idea. Every year the Romans sending a new consul in, a new general, to try to take this guy out. And they're all defeated, one after another, by Jugurtha. He's no Hannibal, but he is pretty good. Finally, after suffering defeat at the hands of Jugurtha year after year, in 107 BC, the war was declared back in 111, 107 BC, the Romans will elect as consul, one of two for that year, a man by the name of Marius, M-A-R-I-U-S, Gaius Marius. And you want to get Marius' name down, definitely. Leading figure in this first civil war of the revolutionaries. Gaius, by the way, like Gaius Gracchus, Gaius Marius. Gaius, in fact, Julius Caesar's first name was Gaius. Gaius Julius Caesar was simply a common name in Rome, as was Tiberius and Marcus, Mark Antony, Marcus, Lucius. Gaius Marius. Yeah, he's going to be elected consul in the year 107 BC. Now, I think it's worth pointing out, he's a member of the plebeian class. He's not an aristocrat. He's a wealthy plebeian. He's in a question. He's very wealthy. But he's a plebeian nonetheless. He's not an aristocrat. But he had risen through the ranks of the military. And he began, in doing so, he achieved tremendous popularity. And in 107, he will be elected consul, 102, for that year. And he will be, as consul, given command of that situation in Numidia, dealing with Jugurtha. And he's going to take with him, as he leads his forces into northern Africa, he's going to take with him a subordinate, a lieutenant, who later would rise to be his greatest rival, a man by the name of Lucius Cornelius Sulla. And Sulla, the other name he won, for this first civil war, Marius versus Sulla. And I've got Sulla here. This guy will win. Lucius Cornelius Sulla. Better known in history simply as Sulla. A subordinate of Marius, he's a lieutenant. He'll accompany Marius into northern Africa to deal with Jugurtha. And while Marius is dealing effectively with Jugurthan armies, Sulla, in the meantime, using skillful diplomacy, will physically capture the man. Sulla gets his hands on Jugurtha. They drag him back to Rome. What are they going to do to him back in Rome? They're going to starve him to death. They torture him. They starve him to death. They're going to kill this guy. Marius, in the meantime, he's dealing with those supporters, those armies of Jugurtha, effectively putting them down. And by 105 BC, their work is done. They have defeated Jugurtha. If you wanted that here, I'll throw it up here. 105 BC. Jugurtha has been put down, and he will be killed, tortured, starved to death by the Romans. Now, what's going to happen back in Rome? This is a major military victory in the eyes of the Romans, isn't it? This guy defeated consul after consul, considered a major threat. They finally get to him. They finally take it. It was not easy. They finally take this guy down. And to honor this victory, they're going to hold a great festival, a parade. They call these things triumphs in Rome, in honor of the victorious general. And who is recognized as the victorious general here? It's Marius. Now, did Sulla play a role, a significant role, in bringing this guy down? He did. However, he gets no credit for the victory. This is held in celebrate this thing entirely and exclusively in honor of the general Marius. And here we get an idea of what these lavish celebrations look like, these triumphs, what they look like in Rome. This one actually depicts the conquest of Judea by the Roman Emperor Titus in the first century. You see the kind of like the menorah right here. It works. You get the idea. This is what these triumphs look like in Rome. And one of these was held for Marius. Sulla, and the thing about Sulla, Sulla's an aristocrat. Marius is a plebeian. Sulla's an aristocrat. We're an old aristocratic family. Whose family has not done much in recent memory. Their dignitas have recently gone down significantly. And he's hoping that through this victory over the great rival of Rome, Jugurtha, this triumph would be held in his honor, or a separate one, something would be held in his honor as well, thereby doing what? His dignitas. And by extension, the dignitas of his family. Yeah, building up his reputation. Instead, he's pushed in the background into the darkness, gets no credit. And how does he feel about it? Slighted, very bitter about this treatment. He's got no recognition, and he's the reason this guy's in Rome, being starved to death as we speak. Well, it only gets better for Marius. Marius becomes so popular in Rome that he will be elected consul 6 years in succession. He'll be elected in 107, 106, 105, 104. You get the idea? That's why he's still there in 105, battling against the armies of Jugurtha. What's the problem with this? By tradition, you could run for the consulship more than once, but how long are you supposed to wait before running a second time, a third time? You're supposed to wait 10 years, right? Marius doesn't wait. He runs the next year, and there's nothing the Senate can do about it. Another illustration of the corruption setting in Rome, in the late Republic. No one can challenge this guy Marius. Well, so popular is he that not only is he elected consul 6 years in succession, he'll also be given command, after having dealt with Jugurtha, he'll be given command of armies to deal with Germanic forces in the north. You don't have to get these details down, but this is the first action, real action the Romans are going to see from these Germanic tribes here in the north. They had been expanding southward, eventually entering Roman territory, threatening Roman-controlled lands in southern Europe. Well, Marius will go in there in 102, 101, beat up on the Germans, celebrate war triumphs. His dignitas is through the roof. And it's right about this time. In the meantime, where's Sulla? He's in the back getting upright. Well, it's right about this time that Marius will carry out one thing to remember about this guy. Jugurtha, yeah, but this is probably more important. Right about this time, Marius will carry out a significant reform in the Roman military. He'll introduce legislation, and consuls, along with tribunes, have the privilege of introducing legislation. Under Marius, the landless citizens of Rome are now eligible for military service. Whereas previously, what did we say you had to have in order to serve in the Roman army? You had to have a plot of land. It didn't matter how big, but you had to have a plot of land.